suited, so I've ordered another one.
I listened to OK Computer this morning for the first time in years, and I'd forgotten it. I think that's a flawless album. I think it's perfect. Apart from Fitter Happier, I can't sort of imagine listening to that in the gym.
So it's not a flawless album then, is it?
Well, I mean, as part of a coherent whole, I would accept Fitter Happier. It's 9 out of 10. Actually, no, I quite like that.
Have you stopped by the casino store and seen the latest fashion?
Well, here's the question. Does a perfect album have to have a flawed moment or flawed song?
Which always makes you feel better. Visit the casino store.
What's the best album that has the biggest drop-off in quality? Maxwell Silverhammer. So is that White Album?
Oh, yeah, no, that's Abbey Road.
Abbey Road song. And Jamaica Jerk Off on Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
What? Who's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road?
Sir Elton John.
Oh, I'm not reading into it.
It's one of the 10 best albums of all time. I assumed a fan and manager of lists would know that.
But it never makes those lists.
It does always. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is always on the lists. You'll know the front cover from the lists. Googling away. We can always see the reflection of what you're Googling in your glasses, like Alan Partridge when he's in his shed. When the comes to see.
Because I always read. The thing though with OK Computer was, I just thought it was funny that I could have something in my collection.
Okay.
That I think is pretty much flawless, and not listen to it for 15 years.
Well, interesting you should say that, because something you can do if you've still got iTunes, for people who haven't changed to Apple Music or Spotify or whatever, is you can, and this is a real double-edged sword, this is you can arrange your songs by last played.
Right.
So if you're someone like me, you remember significant depressing dates,
Yeah.
as in dates in the year, you can go back and find what you were listening to on certain sort of worst moments, or best moments if you're an optimist. But, so for example, if your Skinny Fist Like Antennas to Heaven by Godspeed You Black Emperor, I would say I listen to that once every 4 years.
Right.
Because it's so intense and long. It's sort of it's sort of good for driving late at night, but it will always be in my top 10.
It's it's just I thought it was funny. I do have something that is flawless and perfect, but then you don't consider. Do you know what it reminds me of? What? The Holy Bible.
The flawless masterpiece that very few people purchased.
Yeah, the flawless masterpiece. Well, John, I'm
all right. We might be
time by Mojo. This is the 1995 list, which I vividly remember buying and trying to listen to everything on it. And I'm currently up to 60, and it's not in the top 60. So I've never seen it in one of those lists, and these lists are always very predictable because it's Clear Spot, Captain Beefheart is Magic Band at number 64. Because it's always the same albums, because it's always made by journalists who have the same tastes.
Well, just to continue this great chat, I'm now going on to the Wikipedia page for Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Oh dear, John, it's not looking good. Hot Rats, Frank Zappa, number 89. Good. Oh dear, John, we're into the 90s. Kings of the Village Green Preservation Society in at 91.
I listened to that the other night in full.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? It's brilliant.
I listened to it in stereo and then in mono.
Oh, nice. No, it's not in the top 100 list.
So, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the Rolling Stone album guide, 5 stars out of 5.
Well, that's not 100 great songs, folks. That's not 100 great songs.
Which is because it's not in the one list you got. It's in many, many, many lists.
I'll Google more lists.
It's considered to be Elton John's best albums and one of the best albums of all time.
I mean, I could name 3 albums, and one of them would be considered to be my best album.
Get this, Candle in the Wind, then Benny and the Jets, then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, then This Song Has No Title, then Grey Seal. Come on, mate, you're having a laugh.
Yeah, it's not really my thing, was it?
What good music.
Yeah, but I could say, you've got the most samey taste of music of anyone I've ever met.
You don't think Benny and the Jets is a good song, or Yellow Brick Road's a good song, or Candle in the Wind?
I think I've heard those two, so I don't like Candle in the Wind. Candle in the Wind makes my skin crawl.
It's not the Diana one, to be honest.
No, I know that. It's the one about Marilyn Monroe, but still. I've got, nice woman, but I've got very bad stars.
Thick idiots who I am tied to. On some machination of the heavens. Friggin' waddle through life with this thick idiot.
Oh, dear.
I've got some emails.
That's good. Let's listen to an email. Let's listen to an email inside.
Thank you so much for all your great emails. We've had quite a few from people who work on the front line in various medical capacities, and I'm going to read them, but in order that this doesn't sound like I'm endorsing it, I'm going to edit out some of their praise of the show, just because I don't want this to sound like we are suggesting in any way that... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Matt Hancock should be mentioning us in our daily briefings.
No, but suffice to say, thank you so much that you are finding this silly little podcast with us of some use to you. I don't want to in any way suggest that I'm allowing the seed of thought to be planted, that we would endorse the fact that we are basically keeping this country going in this difficult time.
I mean, if the powers that be want to give John a knighthood at the end of all of this, that's not for me or John to say.
Would you accept you wouldn't accept an honour, would you?
No, I'd love to turn an honour down.
How would you turn it down?
Well, I think they sound you out, don't they? Because it's always been slightly embarrassing. Because the Beatles were given MBs and then Lennon gave his back.
You can't do that.
A few years later. But again,
maybe you can.
Well, you can. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
And I think a few other people have as well.
I think what I would do is I would accept mine and then ask for another one. So I could get more.
You can have my one.
Yeah, actually.
Double sir.
I wonder how much they're worth. It's an actual medal, isn't it?
Yeah. Jess could be a dame. Dame Jess Temby. Lady Jess Temby.
Oh, I prefer lady.
Yeah, Lady Temby sounds good.
I like that.
This is from Rachel. She says, Dear John, Ellis, Dave and Jess, myself and my full-time F, Simon, love the show. I wanted to thank you for making us laugh during this strange time. We were supposed to be getting married this weekend. We're both doctors. I work in ICU and he works in the acute medical unit. Our emergency rotas are unfortunately wildly out of schedule with each other, so I'll be at work on what would have been our wedding day and he'll be at home listening to your show. Facing an unreadable future has made us look at the people in our lives. I look to my side and couldn't be happier with the partner I have next to me. Simon's a wonderful person, kind, dependable, and he likes to pretend to be cynical and claims to live by the mantra that if you keep your expectations low, you'll be disappointed. Hard to know how to interpret this as his chosen partner. However, the truth is, he's actually a romantic. I'm often caught out by his thoughtful actions, and this email is a small attempt to move the balance. Thanks again, Rachel Cassin. What a lovely thing to say, Rachel.
Lovely, but what? I mean, if you are in on the day we're meant to get married, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's such a tough one, isn't it? Hundreds, if not thousands, of couples would face this problem.
Well, it was meant to be Ed Gamble's wedding today.
Yeah.
Poor guy. His lovely partner. But it's not cancelled, it's postponed.
Yeah.
And we will have even more booze when it does happen.
Are you, in terms, because I listened to OK Computer, which is an album I loved when I was a teenager, but I haven't listened to in a long time. In terms of the culture you are both consuming, are you going back to stuff like old favourites, or are you looking for new things? I find that I listen to a lot of old records and reading old books.
I'm never one for rereading a book, to be honest. I mean, unless it's via an audio book, so I'll listen to Sherlock Holmes on his Dark Materials and Harry Potter on a Kindle Read.
Yeah.
But I actually don't think I've ever reread a book.
Me either. I don't think I could.
Because there's too many other books out there. It would feel odd. Sure, I read poetry, obviously, that's a bit odd things to read once.
I never. There's 2 or 3 books I've read that very. When I read read Catcher in the Rye when I was 16, roughly the same age as Holden Caulfield, and I read it when I was about 25, and I read it when I was 30. It's so short, it's easy through. But I had a completely different opinion of him at each different stage of my life. Because when I was 16, I thought he was really cool. I was quite jealous of him. I thought, God, he's got his soul to do. He's 17. No, man, this is what I want to be when I'm 17 in 4 months' time. And when I read when I was 16, I thought, God, this guy's and it was quite interesting, and I don't know how...
Oh, I tell a lie, I have reread The Great Gatsby. That's the only book I've reread.
What was the gap between reading it?
Oh, it would have been A-level, so maybe 17 and 34, so good 15 or maybe 17 years. Yeah.
Did you like it more the second time around?
Yeah, I think it's a flawless masterpiece. Not a single word out of place. I think it's essentially like a prose poem. It's very good.
No problem is too immoral.
Because a lot of people do it in school, you sound a bit lame if you say it's your favourite book.
Yeah, it's like saying Mice and Men is your favourite book when everyone did that in year 9. It just sounds like a red one.
I could read, in fact, I might reread it another time. Anyway, this is from Jay. Jay says, Dear Ellis and John, I want to say thank you for your continued broadcasts, stepping up with your isolation tapes. I work as a scrub nurse in the theatre. Since the outbreak, we've paused our elective cases. The whole department has been redeployed to help nurses into nearby ITU. Since my job normally involves handing hammers to surgeons and trying to get as much scissors they might need next, moving to ITU was a bit daunting. We only had 1 day training and then we were in, assisting the highly experienced professional ITU nurses. They've been great and very supportive, and it really has helped me see what a difficult job they do, especially now we are covered in layer upon layer of protective equipment. Even so, it's been helpful to have this show available for all the moments it gets a bit too much. Your program has been good in your understanding of mental health issues, and as a long-time companion of your friend and mine, Anxiety, I've found it a calming influence. Please keep up the good work. Send all my best to producer Dave and tell producer Jess it's good to hear more from her. Although highly irregular, I would also like to say a big thank you to my full-time W and my 2 beautiful little bees, who have been so supportive and do their best to let me sleep in the days I'm mostly doing nights. It's a tough time for everyone, but it's really reminded me why I love my full-time W so much. She's stayed so strong in such a trying time. I don't tell her I love her enough, but I'm getting better. Stay safe and keep up the great work from Jay. Oh, mate.
Oh, Jay.
What an absolute star you are.
That reminds me of that NHS maxim that Adam Kay talked about in his book when it comes to learning a new thing. Watch one, do one, teach one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't he do it with a cesarean?
Yeah.
My sister works on a neonatal ward with premature babies, and they were quite worried that they might need to go to work in the sort of adult ITU, but they've only worked on intensive care for sort of very poorly, tiny little babies, so she was quite concerned about that, but they were told, as you would understand, that that won't happen because people will still be having premature babies during the pandemic, so their work is sort of will continue, which I think she found quite reassuring. I mean, even though it's very stressful working with prem babies, to make that leap into a total other skill in what could be a very chaotic and not chaotic is the wrong word, but very supercharged environment would be. Yeah. I can only imagine emailer what that's like.
And also, there's stress at work, but stress that is to do with your skill set is a different kind of thing.
Yes, that's a very good point. I can deal with problematic audiences in a way I can't deal with problematic microphones.
Yes.
And one I find incredibly frustrating, and one I find, pretty fine.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be heckled by a person than technology.
Yes, I'd much rather be heckled by a person than by my car.
Yes. Oh goodness, yes.
Yeah. Whenever I've been heckled by my car, it's been a big problem, and I've had to defer to bigger boys.
This email's from Rory. It's not me for 6. Rory, hi there, Ellis, John, and producer Dave and Jess. I am the Chief of Staff for Nursing at the Nightingale Hospital in London. Whoa. Wow. That's the C of S of N of the N, H and L.
Hi.
And I just wanted to let you know that your show and the backlog thereof kept me sane during a month of long hours and a few days off while setting up the new hospital in the XL Centre.
Crikey.
Oh, mate. That's from Rory Mack. Thank you so much. That's incredibly kind. I'm going to go out on a limb and say your work is probably slightly more to the nation's good, and I'm slightly more glad you're doing your work than I'm doing mine. I think we can probably sort of hold off this podcast for a couple of weeks. And,
yes.
Things would still tick along, but it's incredibly kind of me to say that. I started this by saying I was going to bring down praise first from medics, but what do you do?
You got caught up in it, and this is basically this is the tape that you're going to send the Queen when it comes into an claim for your to be made a duke or whatever it is. I know what I'm going to do now. As soon as my son goes to sleep, I'm going to Google his 100 greatest album of all time lists and Control F. Was it what's the album called again?
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, well, yeah, nice one, Jess.
You should listen to it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure I
Starts
will.
with which is incredibly brave. It starts with like a 7-minute prog song.
Okay.
And then goes into 5 of the greatest pop songs ever written. It's insane. Also, he was doing an album every 5 months.
That's astonishing.
And the next album will have had Tiny Dancer and Daniel on it.
Yeah, the Beatles. It was a single every 3 months with an album every year, and they just kept doing that. And they would be writing in hotel rooms, in vans on the way to gigs. They never had a day off, because every time they'd had a day off booked in, they'd get made some offer that they couldn't refuse. So they just had to
The George Ezra podcast with Elton John is really good on this, because George Ezra was like, I do an album every 2 years, and even that's kind of a push, because I'm touring for 18 months out of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is from Sophie. Sophie says, "Hi Ellis, John, and producer Dave and Jess. Hope you and your families are safe and well. Thank you for keeping me and my partner Ben's spirits up during this time. After living in Australia for 2 years, working as CT radiographer and Ben as a doctor, we felt quite uncomfortable being away from our families and away from the NHS during this time. 5 weeks ago, just before lockdown was announced, we decided to travel 36 hours back to the UK. We quit our jobs and essentially our lives in Australia to try and get our jobs back in the NHS. I've managed to get my old job back as a CT MRI radiographer, but Ben, even though he's a doctor, is really struggling to get back to work due to the ever-changing situation and restructuring of staff. He's applied for the Nightingale Hospital in Manchester and several hospitals around the northwest trying to find work. I know it's difficult to believe that a doctor can't find work, but I think there's been a lot of admin issues during this time. He's getting increasingly frustrated and down about the situation, as he has skills that he wants to help. Could you say hi to him on the podcast or something? He's played 49 hours of Football Manager in 4 weeks, and I'm worried about him. He failed to take Blackburn Rovers to promotion and lost 1-0 to West Brom in the playoffs. He's subsequently fallen out with all the players and lost 12 games in a row. You can only imagine how his mental health is doing. Lots of love, Sophie. Hey, Sophie. And also, hello to you, Ben. Fear ye not, your skills are still very much needed. I dare say our old friend bureaucracy playing its frustrating hand, but you'll get there in the end. And I felt like this is not to compare myself to you in any way, but I signed up for the the sort of NHS volunteer app. And like many people, in fact I think pretty much all people who signed up to that, I've just not had a single thing come in. So I think I've been on duty for like about 80 hours, but not had a request. And now obviously that's a good thing, because that would suggest that there are people, that less people than expected need the sort of extra help. I would hope that's what caused it, as opposed to any other reason. But I know what you mean, to kind of feel like I'm ready to rock. Yeah, but also you have to remember that even if you play 49 hours of Football Manager, that is what the government are asking you to do.
Very true.
And you are helping by doing that. Pathetically, when I read that email, the first thing that struck me was the 36-hour flight. Oh my God!
No.
Unless you're a football chap, do you ever play those manager games?
No, because I think if I did, 2 reasons. A, it's not real, and I'd rather engage with football than it's real.
But it's very, if you asked a sort of expert in Championship Manager, they would say it's near as mustard real.
Yes, that's true. And also, B, I've got a horrible feeling if I did start, I'd become obsessed with it, and then
you'd want to take Carmarthen Town to the Champions League.
Yes, to the Champions League, because a friend of mine got his team, and it was someone like a Bruce Lee. He got them to the FA Cup finals, and he sat and watched it in his suit in real time.
Oh, I love that.
And he would miss days of work. Like, he would be up all night playing Football Manager, and then at 8 o'clock he'd call in sick. I'm not sure I did that in my life, actually. But yeah, I've never done that stuff, and I don't do fantasy league because I find it too frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I want to win it, and I think, well, the amount I engage with football, surely I should win the Daily Telegraph fantasy league.
I stopped doing fantasy football about 2 years ago because it ruined my enjoyment of Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because I would be, I would just look at all of the scores and all the scorers and the assists. I'd just get angry.
Yeah.
I'd also be like, I found, and this is a horrible thing to say, but I'd be glad when players I didn't have got injured, and I don't ever want to be glad someone's injured. So it all got a bit silly. Also, one year I came in the top 10,000 in the country, and I just never got close to that ever again. So we've got some non-medic emails now, with some different takes on life in lockdown. I've got quite a lot of emails this week. The next one we do is slightly less email heavy, but we've had some really interesting ones. It's from Colin. He says, "Hi Ellis, John, David, Jess. I'm emailing to tell Ellis he's not alone in feeling guilty about not being particularly bothered with his personal lockdown situation. My wife is finding it hard not being able to take the kids somewhere at the weekend, going round with friends for a chat or even going to work. She stresses about being stuck inside all the time. She starts to
Did you forget?
panic this might never end. But for me, she describes this as my dream situation. I love a weekend that has no plans at all. Xbox with my 6-year-old and a quick kick out outside, yes please. Not having to go to any social gatherings, I'm in. Not having to drive for an hour to go somewhere that the kids just talk about going to. Count me in. I have this constant need to keep emphasising to my wife how hard this all is to make her feel better, when really my day-to-day life is so much easier. It makes me feel repeatedly guilty. Should I be stressed? Should I find this harder? No way making light of the pandemic. I fully understand this very uncertain, scary time for many people. My heart goes out to those who are losing jobs and more importantly loved ones. All I'm saying is that like Ellis, lockdown is not a struggle for you, just looks like the person I am. Those have any tips to help stop your partner being resentful of you because of this, they'd be greatly appreciated. I'm sure more stressful times will come, but for now, being asked to stay indoors and watch TV is all just fine. Colin, what do you think, Al?
When I read that email, I could relate to every line. The difficult thing is you have to reassure the other person that what they're going through is difficult, because it is difficult. And it's different strokes, different folks, and just because I have got no problem with it, in fact that plenty of people do, you can't change their mind. And I think years ago, if you'd asked me this, say when I was in my early 20s, I think I would have thought, well, by being positive and enjoying the experience, what you're doing is you're this positive role model that will make them change their mind, and then they'll sort of admire the way you're dealing with it, and then not inspire, but show that it can be enjoyed. I don't actually think you can change someone's opinion on this. You can change their perspective to an extent by pointing out that, you know, it could be the Blitz and Luftwaffe could be bombing us to bits. But in the main, a lot of people find it very, very stressful not being able to leave the house, and that is perfectly valid. I don't. I think I am in the vast minority when it comes to this, actually.
I think if you're someone who is, A, doesn't mind their own company, also someone who perhaps is used to working alone or remotely, it's sort of less of an upheaval, but I think the important thing is that to firstly try and alleviate your partner's stress whenever possible, and also just try not to add to it in any way.
Yeah,
and I think maybe trying to, it sounds like Colin, you're pretty emotionally intelligent about the dynamic that's going on, so I imagine you are very much a net gain to your partner's levels of relaxation. So
it is difficult not to sound quite partridge in the other person's thing. I've seen this. I would just love to go out twice and I don't like to go out for a coffee. It's difficult to be like, yeah, got it. But there's nothing wrong with finding it difficult, so you need to take the slack off there. And by being sympathetic, because it is hard and it's also very strange. We don't know when it's going to end. I think that is what some people find difficult. If you feel told that you've got to do something difficult, but you're given a very definite time frame, you can cope with quite a lot if you know it's about to finish. So, you know, I don't know, it's, say you've got to have, I don't know, medical procedure or something that's uncomfortable. If you know it's going to be uncomfortable for 10 minutes, you can handle it. If you know it's going to be uncomfortable, but they're not going to tell you, they can't tell you when it's going to end, it's suddenly far more scary and difficult to cope with, I think. And that's the hard thing with lockdown. We're not actually quite sure when it's going to end. And that is the thing that plenty of people find so challenging, because we're just in this odd limbo.
So I used to avidly watch all the press conferences, and I got quite frustrated with the press repeatedly asking when it's going to end, or what things would have to happen for it to end, or how it would end. And I kept, like, in my head going, why keep asking that question? Of course they can't communicate complicate that sort of thing, because it muddies the waters and it gives people a mixed message. And if you say, well, when we reach this many cases, we'll ease it, because then people will have that in their head and they might see that many cases and then they might go outside and all this stuff. But actually, now I'm kind of more thinking, once you start to discuss how and when, what it might look like, I think people do find it reassuring. It's a bit like knowing the lifeboat is coming somewhere in some form.
Yeah.
If you're talking about what the lifeboat might look like, then at least that's a way of distracting you if you're finding it's no difficult.
I'm feeling that. I'm not too bothered about when it's going to end. I'm bothered about how it's going to end. I have all these scenarios in my head that will they just open the floodgates and everyone will go, or will they just open up all the shops and everyone will go, or is it going to be a gradual thing? Like, really weirdly, I'm wanting to be able to prep for when we are allowed to go out again, which sounds so stupid, but I want to be able to just go out and go back to work. So it's not the when it's going to end that bothers me, it's the how it's going to end in a minute.
I'm assuming they'll stagger it on something. You'll be allowed to do something, because until there's a vaccine, until the vaccine's been rolled out across the general public, would I go to see a band in the Brixton Academy or something like that? I'm not sure I would actually.
And there's a lot in the press today, so we're recording this on Saturday the 25th, about you'll be able to have a group of 10 people that you can cluster with.
Yeah.
Which we were just talking about it in the house, because that puts a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, it reminds me of being at school. Because what if say you've got a 5 in your house and you want to pick another 5, what if they don't want to be in your 10? Because you can't be in 2 10s.
My friend was saying, do you remember in MySpace when you had to pick your top 5 friends?
Oh, yeah.
It's like that, so you've got to be like, right, Mum, you made the cut, Dad, you didn't make the cut, sorry, not bothered.
I'm guessing the point of that is to allow sort of family members who are sort of isolated from each other. For example, those very heartbreaking scenes of sort of grandparents meeting their babies through patio doors, but to allow that thing to sort of come to an end. Because I think that's what people find the most stressful in terms of the thing is not having access to that sort of network of family and friends.
I think I prefer a 6 and about 10.
I agree with you all. I mean, I've only got a maximum of 8 friends anyway, so the other 2 I would maybe pick. I know Rachel and Shakespeare. Or Stephen Fry and Jesus.
No.
Or Elizabeth Fry and Churchill. Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah.
I might actually get rid of a few of the current ones. Get in like one of Stephen Gerrard, Case.
Yeah, you can advertise it about John Fat. So that's right. Yeah, there's one space.
Yeah.
So get it. That's one cap to go.
That'll be a Facebook thing, won't it? Once you sort of dream cluster, go to dream cluster of 10.
Yeah.
I would have
Also, have ones for a laugh. Have ones.
Well, Ellis, how much would you enjoy this? Elizabeth II and the last 8 Prime Ministers. That would be a fascinating chat. So who would that be? You don't have to take Clegg and Cameron.
Okay.
Let's start from Cameron.
Johnson, Cameron, Brown, Blair, Thatcher, Callaghan, Wilson. Who are we down to? Down to Wilson. Who would I put Wilson's Howard and before that down to 10? Is that 10? I mean, I've got to go. I wouldn't have a huge. I'd like to talk to Howard. Went beyond the bridge, the sort of birth of the modern satire, the big gig in the West End of London something. And Peter Cook used to do an impersonation of Hamlet. And to show that he couldn't laugh when the gig is obviously the Prime Minister. And so he told Peter Cook, and apparently riffed and the impersonation was brutal and very, very vitriolic and quite uncomfortable / hilarious. So I think I'd like to ask Parliament what it's like to be humiliated in front of hundreds of people like that as well. That would be my question to him.
Yeah, I mean, Comic Genius did have a nasty streak in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't we all?
Well, I mean, you'll be to come to my Dudley Moore, aren't you?
Yeah, I suppose I am. I'll take that. Probably wouldn't do, but movies on this movie. And then did the outtakes. This is like Inception. Grandmother just said Inception. Students folded on themselves, weighted by blunders.
But I can never explain what's going on because my auto-kit is wrong.
Everything it on every picture has been invented there. What if it turns out that the fifth dimension is blunders? And that's how time travel is possible. Go to a world where nothing was invented in the time that you visited.
That's an alignment,
Yeah. Which would be a blunder, but no time. That would be terrifying.
Oh my god, I'm in charge of blunders.
Oh, beyond the blunders. Mad Max blunders over. So this email is from Caitlin, and she says, I am 18, Alice. Whoa, I've been 18.
Well, she born in 2002, right? Oh my god, when did you get to 2002?
Born when I was at uni.
I didn't
Imagine if I'd gone out for a walk to the pub in 2002 and seen a pregnant lady. That could be who's emailing in now. So Caitlin says, I am 18, a certified youth in my second year of college. I was meant to be taking my A-levels this summer before this whole business happened. Now I'm stuck at home with my dad, unable to see my friends and boyfriend during what everybody tells me is meant to be the best summer of my life. Goody. Worrying that the A-levels got picked by my teachers will not be high enough to get me into my chosen university, so I can complete fast. Since my exams have been cancelled, I no longer have anything to do, and the daunting task of managing my endless time. Naturally, this led me to making terrible dance remixes of indie rock songs, attempting to grow spring onions, and listening to countless hours of the podcast as old as new. Much like John reading the Wikipedia page for a tree, I recently got so bored I looked up the Wikipedia page for the earthworm. Now I know what the weird thick bit is on a worm. It's where they store their eggs. Against all odds, I am thriving at times, which I feel slightly guilty about since the situation sorted. I never thought there would be a time when being an introvert would become my greatest asset, and I do feel smug about it. While my friends are complaining of boredom, I'm happily sitting alone listening to the new Strokes album and rereading his dark materials. I hope you guys are well, stay safe, and keep doing what you're doing, Caitlin. Hey, thanks for sending that in, Caitlin. If it's any consolation to you, when I was 18, I got rejected by all the universities I applied to. Fun fact. No, one actually, that's UCL. I got rejected by Oxford, Bristol, and the University of East Anglia to do creative writing. I got rejected from Oxford because I didn't get into Oxford, which is fair enough. I got rejected by Bristol because they had a thing about being seen as the University of Oxford reject, so I think that counted me out. And I got rejected by the University. I got rejected by the University of East Anglia's creative writing course because I sent them one of it. Oh, yeah. And it were a bit intense and that very good. I think actually the reason I got rejected by the MA, why they made it before your degree. That's what I've learned.
Well, then of course, that 18 doesn't exist straight to MA level.
No. So, that summer, Caden, that was the worst summer of my life.
Yeah.
So you may be missing out on the best summer of real life. You may be missing out on working part-time at Virgin Megastore and having a gambling addiction.
Yeah.
You don't know. As Tony Blair said, it's impossible to quantify the effects of inaction.
Yes.
To an extent. That was when he was talking to the Chilcot Choir.
Yeah. Interesting that you reference Blair, the Chilcot Choir. You talk about the best of real life at age 18.
What I was saying is, once the situation is a certain way, I mean, this seems like an obvious thing to say, maybe Blair was being a bit thick, but so his point was, it's impossible for us to quantify the effect of not invading Iran.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you agree with the invasion of Iran, that's true. You know, yes, it could have been better, or it could have been a lot worse. That's basically anyway, only that statement to the children.
Enjoy your summer. In conclusion.
But you never know, you might have gone on holiday and had an awful time. You might not split you might have got the terrible. You might have got the squids in a hammock with a boy you were sort of flirting with in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah.
You might have soiled a swimming cosy. That's been avoided by lockdown.
Yeah. You might have got so hungover that you'll never drink again, and that's changed the rest of your life. You might have developed an allergy to eggs.
This is like the butterfly effect. That's real.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that could have gone wrong with the quiz.
Yeah. You might have got like tropical stomach disease, which is impossible to treat.
Yeah. My next door neighbour who is a teacher, in fact, she's working with, obviously she's teaching A-level, and she's just, especially A-level kids, they're doing their absolute best to ensure that the estimated grades relate to your abilities, so that you're not undersold and that you can get the place that you deserve based on the work that you've done over the last couple of years. Obviously it's very stressful for teachers because they're trying to ensure that nobody loses out, so I can reassure them that everyone's trying their best, but it must be very, very stressful. Because also the thing with the university, that summer, when you're hoping to get in or not get in, it feels like the most important thing in your life, and obviously it's hugely important then. But it's a long life, and I always think that things tend to work out best in the end.
And I'm sure with regard to your A-levels, I think the people who are not going to give a little bit of wiggle room in these circumstances are hopefully the tiny minority. So before we go, we might have a guest on our next isolation tape.
Yes.
Elton John. Elton John is going to be talking about his album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and how frustrating it is that it's not in the top 100 album list for Ellis.
Yeah, well, I'm going to check 5 lists, and if it's any of the big 5, I'll tell you. Well, I'm going to text one away.
Look at that. All deliveries received. Now let's just hope they know how to use them, right?
Thank you so much for sending in all your emails, folks. I do hope you enjoyed us reading some of them today. And this is from Heather. She says, "Hi, Alice and John. I hope you're well. Thanks so much for the isolation tapes. I enjoy catching up on them each day. My boyfriend, Anthony, is an avid Retro 1 listener, and now phones me each day and greets me with, 'Good day to you, sir.' I was particularly moved by John's anxiety about whether or not he had unconsciously given out his sort code and account number during the podcast recording. I have similar anxiety about such things and find it reassuring that John does too. For example, whenever I write a birthday card, say, I'll write it, lick the envelope, and leave it on the shelf by the door to remember to post it the next day. The same evening, I will get into bed and immediately begin to ruminate that I've actually written something quite horrific in the card. I know I've written, 'Dear Sarah, have a fantastic birthday, love from Heather.' But over about 3 hours of sleeplessness, rumination and anxiety-induced palpitations, I convinced myself that what I've actually written is, 'Dear Sarah, I hope you have an S birthday, you absolute coin, buzz off from Heather.' On occasion, I've managed to convince myself of this so vehemently that I've actually got out of bed, gone downstairs and opened the card to check. Obviously, I've never written anything of the sort, as I'm a well-rounded, functioning professional woman. Heather from Warrington. Well, Heather, how's this from advice? So a lovely Robin.
We selling? Okay.
Has an anxiety.
The buyer wants it.
He's not locked the door when he leaves his house, and he'll go back 2 or 3 times to check. He now takes a photo of the locked door when he leaves his house and just checks the photo. So when you write a card, do something similar, take a little picture of it on your phone. If you wake up in the night in a panic, just check your phone, there you've got what you wrote in the card. Yeah. Great little anxiety like that.
Yeah, very good.
To the extent that I now take my door with me wherever I go. I lock it, unscrew from the hinges, and take both sides of the lock all the way with me into London and back, just so I know that I've definitely locked the door. And it's just an extra layer of security. Right then, team. Ellis and I are doing our big live gig tomorrow, which I'm very much looking forward to. So hopefully by the time this comes out, you'll have seen it or be able to see it on some form of catch-up service. Yeah. We've raised a lot of money for Standing Together Against Domestic Violence, a charity I think do absolutely stupendous work, so do check them out, standingtogether.org.uk. Any other thoughts and feelings, Steve?
No. When I'm going to save for the next show, I just sort of say I'm going to wait the first couple of minutes, but then we got sucked into an John Google wormhole, so
listen to the first 6 songs of it by
Yeah.
whilst putting in the list. It's a really nice thing to do.
All right. Yeah.
I also have some thoughts and feelings that I would also say.
Oh,
So
tenterhooks across the board.
Just try and quell them, Jess.
I will.
Just push them down and then ignore them and then go away. That's the best thing in feelings. Just
Ignore your feelings.
I'm not sure I condone either of those. Strokes of different folks. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Do get in touch, ellisandjohn@bbc.co.uk. Hope you are safe and well wherever you are. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Do you know what we need, mate? A podcast. One is to be made. Two for radio. My name's Scotty. I love it. This podcast is for all the things we can't say on radio. Quite often, when the music's playing, we have X-rated conversations off air. I'm going to ask you a question, and you have to answer honestly. Now, for the first time, you can hear those conversations. It's going to get a bit radio. Download and subscribe on BBC Sounds.
You have a theme song.
Don't be corny on the theme song, yeah? BBC Sounds, music, radio, podcast.
Hi there, folks. John here from my isolation room. This is just a message to warn you that these podcasts are recorded a couple of days before they are put out. That's due to hours to edit and check the quality, etc. So obviously, as guidance is moving very fast at this uncertain time, some of the things we talk about may rapidly go out of date. I just thought I'd make that clear so no one thinks that any of the advice, tips or anecdotes we tell are in any way irresponsible, and we do hope you're doing all you can to follow the advice that the government give. And we also hope that these podcasts are of some relief to you, and we wish you all the best.
BBC 5 Live.
Ellis and John's isolation tapes on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Isolation Tapes with Ellis, John and producer Jess. It's the morning after the night before. What can I say? Last night, Ellis and I recorded our first ever live streamed event with Ivo Graham as the host, and we were also, before Ivo came on, we had that 27 minutes of experimental noise.
Yeah. We decided. Yeah. Well, the show was meant to start at 8, but we thought instead of doing that, we'll start at 8:37, but we'll fill that time by playing metal machine music by the beat.
It did actually sound like that machine.
Yeah, and also a lot of grindcore metal and typewriters being thrown against the wall. We'll play all of that, and the most extreme kind of drum bass as well, but all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think people liked it.
Well, some people said it sounded like Fatboy Slim, which is great.
It's really testament to all our listeners and fans that everyone kind of stuck with it and sort of sat through. We lost about 5% of the viewers, but that could have been for any number of reasons. I thought that was so cool. And obviously apologies when you did watch live and had to sit through those 27 minutes of noise. I'm pretty sure it was because it was being streamed in another room in Ivo's house.
Yes.
But I don't know how that could create a feedback loop.
No, that seems to be the thing that sorted it.
Yeah, but then these technologies, I guess, haven't been tested on this scale globally, so it could easily have just been some sort of ghost in the internet's machine.
Well, also, we have tested it twice during the week. The show was meant to start at 8 o'clock, so we were online at 7:30 testing it. It was all going swimmingly. What you can't test is those conditions with 5,000 people watching as well. Yeah. Which is incredible. I that. But yeah, we raised a lot of money for something together against domestic violence as well, which I'm so proud of.
And I'm guessing by the time this isolation tape comes out, the sort of edited version of that Evening with Ellis and John will be available to buy from their website, and £1 from every purchase goes towards standing together against domestic violence. And maybe we'll do something similar again soon. I don't know. I think we really should. It's great fun.
I love the damning with faint praise that our promoter show and tell. Whenever they tweet about it, they always say, don't worry, there'll be an inverted commas polished version. I had so much adrenaline coursing through my veins. I couldn't sleep at all last night. And then obviously it's a weekend very early.
I had so much alcohol coursing through my veins that I just pretty much passed out.
Yeah. But I hadn't and I hadn't expected to get any kind of post-gig buzz, which I did.
Afterwards I read through all of the sort of tweets and messages and stuff, and it was great because there were probably, I've never had so many notifications about anything I've ever done.
We were trending at one stage.
But what happened was that it took me about 15 minutes to get through all the really nice messages afterwards, and then I hit all the panicked ones from when it wasn't working, which there were probably, I don't know, 600 messages from various formats saying there's no sound, or this is awful, or I can't hear you, or what's this terrible noise.
Why does it sound like nicely sharpened?
Yeah, so I didn't go through all those, but thank you everyone who got in touch to say they enjoyed it.
Also, this is a spoiler alert for the show we did last night, hopefully it's available now. And, I know people don't like spoilers, but I've got to talk about it. Ivo, who was a fantastic host, and he's such a fun bloke. But in preparation for last night, he talked to our old professors at university. So he got John's professor, and John read English at Oxford, and what's his name?
Vincent Gillespie.
Vincent Gillespie.
Professor Vincent Gillespie, who I don't think he still has to have the Tolkien chair at Oxford.
Oh, wow.
And I've not heard from him for 18 years, and I've got a email from him which made me cry.
Yeah. It was so lovely. I spent it so
It's so lovely and so beautiful about his memories of John as a singer. I loved it, and I found it very, very touching, and he vividly remembered John. It was really nice. And then I've done the same with one of my lecturers who I'd had for 3 years as an undergraduate, and I did my MA with him as well. And he's one of my heroes, this guy. He's the first person I met at university on day one. And from the same pathway to married to my dad's thing, they sound exactly the same, and they look almost identical. It's quite weird, they got exactly the same shape. But I adore this bloke, so I've been put in touch with Bill. And Bill tried a nice thing. But at the end he'd said, yeah, I haven't seen a huge amount of Ernest's work, but I have seen blunders. I ended savvy.
He knows he was a blunder merchant.
He does. He thinks that
He thinks that you did all that study of the history of Wales and of socialism and politics just to bring blunders to the world.
That was on my grandpa. All along, how can I?
Well, my professor ended by saying that my career was proof that there is a point to teaching humanities subjects. Not sure your professors reached the same conclusion based solely on blunders. Although I do have a book called Blundering Government. So you can always apply blunders, but you should move it to political blunders.
Yeah, I could.
Well, yeah, there's lots of companies shoring up your house. Yeah, and all of them great. No arms companies. So how are you doing, man?
I'm alright, I just,
If it isn't my creepy silent friend. How can I help? Oh, hey, you're in trouble. Okay, I'll deal with it.
The show in that way. So I feel very washed out into my ears because I'm expecting them. And I don't know, I only expected a few hundred people to be interested. So the fact that we were trending and then we sold thousands of tickets, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm to be honest, I'm on cloud 9 but tired at the same time. So yeah, but other than that, I feel alright. What about you?
I felt very good. Woke up with a real spring in my step, and sort of feeling quite positive about, because, you know, we've not, in comparison to the way some other comics have had it, but had quite a lot of work cancelled because of the coronavirus lockdown. So it's nice to kind of think there is something.
I'm so sad you don't take my offers of help seriously. It's so rude of you.
Isolation tapes and the radio show, for which we're very grateful. Gets you excited about creating stuff. You think, oh, maybe we can do something else. Who can we do it with? And what would it feel like?
I haven't taken the stuff out of my diary that I should be doing now. I got a notification this morning saying Ellie's filming in Wales, and it just looks like a notification from a different planet. It's the idea of going to Cardiff to film something is just, it's almost unimaginable. And yeah, I really got down, and I didn't expect to feel nervous, and also I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. And I've been asked to do a few of the other ones. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them. But now that we've done one together and proven that it can work, because not my words, the words of Jess Templey, yeah, I'd love to do something else. So it is exciting. And it's exciting as well in the sense that prior to the coronavirus lockdown, I never would have considered streaming a gig online.
Yeah, and it's something we could do after the coronavirus lockdown is finished.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. It makes going on tour look slightly stupid. You know, we're driving to Sheffield or Glasgow, where you can just do it from your dining room.
Well, I don't know how long the lustre would stay on. If we did it too often, it'd end up with these cooking in the background.
Yeah.
People sort of feeling that maybe we'd sort of drained the last drops of oil from this well.
Yes.
However, yeah, it's exciting. It's nice to feel there are projects in sort of coalescing in the mind's eye.
Yeah.
And some lovely emails. This is from Jimmy. They say, "Hi guys. Yesterday I held the first annual virtual festival in my garden, Isolation Fest 2020. It involves sitting in the garden, having a listening party of one, drinking cans. It's very simple. All you need is a music playing device, preferably a festival camping chair and said cans. If you have sensitive neighbours, you can also invest in some headphones. I created a set list of bands and allocated 30 minutes to 1 hour sets for each band, where possible using live tracks to really immerse myself, with breaks in between sets to get more beers from the bar/utility room and take gentlemen's breaks, or lady breaks. I started at 2 and went until 10:30, by which time I'd run out of cans and tucked in some port. Needless to say, the full-time G wasn't overly impressed. Question is, what would your ideal virtual festival lineup be?" That's from Jimmy. Well, Jimmy, I've taken this a little bit too seriously, and I have mapped out my dream festival lineup.
First question, because it's a dream festival that's done on a streaming service, are you utilising bands that have either split up or died?
Yes, I am. So mine's just a dream festival that I would recreate in the garden.
Okay.
It's not a dream, necessarily a dream virtual festival.
Okay.
It's the festival that I would most like to be at that I could also recreate in my garden to an extent. When talking about hypothetical festivals, it's very easy.
It's sale day. Okay, we're throwing this stuff out.
Day experience.
Yeah.
You can't open with the Rolling Stones at 2 in the afternoon. So it can't just be like the 10 best, biggest, massivest bands, because I think that would be too much, especially over half an hour sets.
Also, at this festival, who's watching? John and 49,999 people, or 50,000 Johns?
Do you know what? It's 50,000 Johns, but I think I've curated it so that if you like one of the bands, you'll like the rest of it.
So 50,000 Johns, but also 100,000 toilets, and they're all quarter-of-a-mile apart.
So if you imagine a field in Hilton where Glastonbury is, the toilets would stretch as far north as Gloucester, as far south as Exeter, from the site, with a shuttle running between them.
And the food is broadly vegan, but there's a prawn stall tucked away in the distance, maybe for something odd.
Yeah, there's a prawn stall and a parmesan and anchovy fan.
Okay.
Because those are the main areas that I
That's where you slip up, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, from 2 p.m. to 2:30, we've got in the up-and-coming slot, Mr. Trevor Sensor.
Right. Okay. So at the moment, how many Johns are watching Trevor Sensor?
I'd say around 15,000 Johns.
15,000 Johns. Okay.
No one's drinking because Johns don't drink before sort of the evening.
Of course they don't. So the other 55,000 Johns in their tents.
Well, I actually think most of the Johns would be in the main arena, but some of them are browsing the farming stalls. Others are checking out the Queen merch.
Of course, Johnapalooza 2020.
Yeah, Johnapalooza.
John Stock.
So 2 to 2:30, Trevor Sensor. I've also allowed 15-minute breaks for the band to kind of strike and set up again.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be a consideration in a virtual festival. I have had to make that. 2:45 to 3:20, Magnolia Electric Company. 3:35 to 4:10, Nico Case.
Okay.
That's when sort of people begin to settle down. They're looking forward to their first cans of the day.
Okay.
And the risk of cans being open really becomes a chorus at 4:30.
I would say it would be simultaneous, wouldn't it? 40,000 Johns. That would be a good sound.
Yeah, for Nico Case's last two songs, or maybe for her encore. But definitely from 4:30 to 5:15, when Bonnie Prince Billy takes to the stage, there are cans reflecting. People have the sun's come out, so they're covered in loads of sun cream and lots of sort of tents and tarpaulins to hide from the sun.
Yeah.
And Johns. Then at 5:40 to 6:20, Van Morrison. But for the last 5 songs,
Stop for that.
I don't think so. No, that's just a sort of the sun starting to wane.
Okay.
He's playing And It's So Clean from Moon Dance.
Oh yeah, you should sing the second.
To an extent, because, crucial to point out, with Van Morrison, for the last 5 songs, he's joined on stage by the band.
Right.
Okay. So they will play together Caravan, they will maybe play And It's Stone to Me would be a nice one to give the band. Turadura, that's not the nice one, but to actually make it on the recording of that one, because there is a black and white picture. And then they'll play 2 band songs together, and I would like to hear Van Morrison and the band playing The Weight and perhaps King Harvest.
You know the cricket they've got people with t-shirt guns. Something firing sun cream into the
Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah, like those big sprays they had at Live Aid, just like hosing down, but with sun cream.
Which Johns are getting front then?
Young Johns.
Young Johns.
The Mohican 16-year-olds in their velvet jackets. But also, there's not going to be much of a mosh for Van the Man.
No. Supplementary question before we go on. Is there a comedy tent?
No.
Oh, okay. Because there's a show you could headline.
Do you know, I'm not even sure I would book myself to headline comedy talk. I'm too busy watching all the bands.
2,000 Johns watching John.
You don't want to be a John performing at Johnapalooza going up against Van Morrison.
Yeah, of course.
Imagine if you could just, how awful would that be if you're on stage, you can hear the strains of Madam George coming through thinking, I think I'd rather be watching that than doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Van Morrison and then Van Morrison and the band from 5:40 to 6:20. 6:45 to 7:35 is Frank Zappa, who at the end of his set, the 4 songs, is joined by Captain Beefheart, which would just, and they would play stuff from the Bongo Fury tour. So they would play Carolina Hunt for Ecstasy. They would play Advanced Romance, and maybe a couple of Beefheart tracks, maybe Candle Mambo and Tropical Hot Dog Night. That will be so amazing.
Oh yeah. Zigzag Wanderer.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Zappa would do a nice little solo on Zigzag Wanderer. Then from 7:55 to 8:40, we've got Car Seat Headrest.
And that Frank Zappa.
Well, not in terms of profile, but in terms of mood. Actually, probably amongst younger Johns, yes, profile.
Yeah, the under 20 Johns.
However, Car Seat Headrest are joined on stage for the final contract by Lou Reed.
Right, okay.
So they would play Waves of Fear, perhaps Dirty Boulevard, How Do You Speak to an Angel, and maybe the Blue Mask. Oh man, Car Seat Headrest and Lou Reed playing the Blue Mask live would absolutely blow my mind.
Why not get Playtime? autoplay, because
it's not the right... Well, I'm kind of trying to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then they finish. So 9:05 to 9:50, the Pixies.
Oh, nice choice.
Nice.
Because they are real. Okay, now we are at full pedal to the metal.
Yeah, even the Johns at the back are enjoying this.
Yeah.
The saddest Johns.
The saddest Johns. And then at 10:50 to 11:50, it's obviously the Four Cornerstones of Rock. Who I think in the form, no, the Queen. I think are probably the only band that could really pick up the adrenaline of the Pixies and take it up a notch from there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's quite an early finish, isn't it? 11:50.
Well, no, most festivals, outdoor festivals, tend to finish around 11.
Well, at Glastonbury, like tents, like dance music tents. So what have you got there? So, those other tents, you can have John's visiting club.
Well, the other tents are going to be different types of pubs, I think.
Oh, right.
So what we'll do is we'll get a late license so that the pubs can stay open in lieu of
late license till 1 a.m.
or dance music or any of that stuff. Right, okay. I actually think that probably would knock it all on the head by 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And then people sort of wake up. So you go back to your tent, maybe have a chat with your mates about how great all of those insane bands were, and then you go back to bed by 2, up at 8, sort of 9, feeling pretty fresh faced.
What's the temperature?
It's 22 degrees with a light, cool breeze, but not a cold, chilly breeze.
Okay.
But you're talking about sort of 8 kilometres an hour, southwesterly breeze.
And it's been dry for weeks, so you can wear your Converse trainers without getting the younger Johns can wear Converse trainers. Okay.
It's not been dry for weeks, it's been dry for 5 days, so that were you to fall, there would be enough cushion in the turf to avoid a break.
Which is useful for the elderly Johns.
Yes. And if you drop your glass, but there's no glass, so it's irrelevant. If you drop an ornament that you brought along, good luck.
Yeah, if you thought maybe one of your TVs.
My mum had a chili. She's still got 4 months of chili. She needs to sell stuff in it. What are they for? They soup.
I don't know, but you have I think my mum keeps photographs of the TVs. Mums love TVs.
Tell you what else they love.
What, Ottomans?
Yeah, big time.
Oh.
Big fan of an Ottoman.
Big time. An occasional table.
Oh, what's that over there? It's a counterpane.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, put that on the nest of tables.
Hang on, do I think counterpane? Is that like a tiny blanket?
I don't know. Johnson cook counterpane.
Yeah, a bedspread.
Yeah.
I was right. So there you go. What other things are right? Texting.
Potpourri.
Potpourri.
Bit of potpourri knocking round.
Oh, yeah. And then stand-up sometimes is like making jokes about eating concrete by mistake.
Do they?
No, it really does that stuff.
No. So anyway, Alice, did you plan your virtual festival?
Certainly not with the same level of detail. And I think also I wasn't imagining 50,000 of myself at my festival. So I was trying
Okay, well, how many bands were it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with 3 additional Blast 4 trackers. So I'm going to guess your 9 would be Gorkies, The Clash, The Fall, The Jam, Blur, Oasis, Noi, and Ornette Coleman.
I was chucking Jimi Hendrix in there.
Yeah, and the Beatles, obviously.
But also Jimi Hendrix with modern technologies would be like the iPod or Woodstock.
Yes, you'd be able to hear it. The Beatles wouldn't be playing through hearing aid speakers or whatever it was.
No. I mean, I love Shea Stadium because it was the first time any band played Stadium. The music was being pumped through the little tannoy that the baseball announcer would announce the next pitcher's name from. And it must have sounded absolutely rubbish. And if you see pictures of the dressing rooms haven't been done up at all. So they just sat on those benches like you would get who were playing like Sunday league. Nowadays, Madonna plays the stage and they deck out the dressing room and there's flowers and sofas and beds and stuff. They look like they're about to play sort of a game of rugby. There's none of that stuff at all. I love how nice it was, but you can't really have a go at Brian Epstein for not organising anything because you're asking him to invent modern management.
I think festivals are a bit like sort of online groups in that they all start off brilliantly and then too many people attend, so they get too loud, so you don't go anymore.
Yeah. It's like, I went to the first Latitude in 2006, and it was brilliant, but it was so small, they would have cost a fortune.
I went to the first couple of Green Man.
Oh yeah.
I went in 2004, maybe 2005, 2007, and they were some of the best nights of my life, but then the last time I went, I was like, too many people.
I worked the one in 2006, but then it's the best, I think Green Man's definitely the best stand-up gig of all the festivals.
Yes, agreed, even though I've never actually done it, but I have seen it. Well, speaking of festivals, we're about to increase the amount of acts performing in this isolation tape. We've got our first ever isolation tape guest. It's Lulu Sanders.
Woo! I've moved myself in.
Hello, Lou. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good.
Welcome to our isolation tape. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. And also, you're the cat. I don't mind it.
Oh, thank you. My hair's got a bit unruly.
I see. It adds a little bit of an edge.
Thank you very much.
You look like an empathetic.
Cheers, man. I'd like to look like I'm just sort of sat on my porch playing an acoustic guitar next to sort of a dive bar.
Yeah, with about 60 empty bottles by.
Not that many. No, with 4.
Yeah, no, but they're from previous nights. Because what you do is you put them on the fence and then you shoot them off.
Ah, yes, my gun. Which I'm about to have.
And your name's Ryan.
Is it Ryan?
Or Jay. Something like that.
Ray Robbins. Johnny Ray Robbins.
And also, as your son, John, I'm worried about you. So I've contacted the Queer Eye lot because they're going to try and transform your fashion sense.
Johnny Ray Jr. contacts the Fab Five. Yeah. They come round. They love my Queen merch.
Yeah, but they do decide to utilise it in a different way.
Yes.
It's less of a focal point in the house, the Queen merch. So they give you a Queen room.
And I tuck in all of my Queen t-shirts at the front, giving myself a French tuck, courtesy of Mr. Town France. Lou, you've actually moved house during the lockdown, haven't you?
Yeah, and do you know what? There's a bit of judgment in your voice when you said that as well.
I was more impressed that you managed to deal with those logistics under such strenuous circumstances.
Can I just say before we get into that I think all men should grow their hair out, and I think it looks lovely, and I think we should stop trying to fight it. Long hair for all the men, please.
My hair's got very big. I washed it today, so it's sort of a bit fluff there.
Big hair's big news, and I don't mind telling you that.
How long do you want it?
I would say floor length.
Really? Big hair's big news.
Big hair's big news. I remember that in the ladies' magazines when I was growing up, because my friend always had big hair, and she didn't like it because you always want the opposite from your kids. And then we read like big hair's big news, and we had to really get jewels on the side.
That's nice. So are you calling us from your new house?
Yeah. Do you know the best thing? I painted the bedroom green, and now I won't need a green screen.
No. So it's a very pale green, like a kind of, what would you describe that as? Like sort of creme de menthe ice cream colour, mint chocolate chip ice cream without the chips.
Are you planning on presenting weather reports from your bedroom?
Yeah, I am. I'll take any job right now. But, it's P, it's safe.
Is it P? I don't think it's P.
It's
I
safe.
think it's definitely. It's probably sage. It's definitely mint choc chip.
Yeah, it's mint chocolate, but it didn't say that on the tin.
It's Gino Ginelli.
Gino Ginelli. Dick Gino. Oh,
I love that.
so how's life been? Are you still living with Luke McQueen?
Still in the loop, yeah, of course. If it's not broke, don't fix it. You know? Luke and I probably be living together till we're 50. Is it tragic or is it cool? You decide.
And how have you been sort of work-wise? What have you been up to?
Yeah, like so busy, like really relevant still, really in demand.
Well, you've been doing some stuff. Me and Alice did your cover podcast.
Yeah, that's true. I am on television next week.
Are you?
Yeah, with something that I filmed at home. Actually, true story, I thought it was for the internet. And it was released to the television. So I made my cuts really subtle. You know, because no one's got attention for longer than 10 seconds. Me included. So I was like making it real, like, YouTube, teenage, friendly. Turns out some people.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah, it's just part of the, it's only like a 4-minute thing. You're just part of the, like, few comics doing stuff. I don't know if it was any good. We'll see. They edit, like they sort of edit it, so.
So talk us through your lockdown day, Lou. What do you do? What do you do?
Oh, a day in the life of Lou. Here we go.
First thing I want to know, when do you wake up?
Well, today, quarter to 8. I try, it's usually I would prefer 8:30. I work with my body clock.
Yeah, circadian rhythm.
Currently, I listened to a podcast that Phoebe Walsh sent me, and it said, I'm just giving her credit because I don't want to pick out about a podcast that I didn't find. But you're supposed to wake up in the middle of the night. That's what we're supposed to do, like go to sleep for 4 hours, wake up, and be friends with the night.
Well, I've been doing that for the past 5 weeks.
Well,
I go to sleep at about 11. I wake up at about 3, and I go back to sleep at 4. Then I'll wake up at 4:45. And then if I'm lucky, I'll get back to sleep. But if not, I'm just up at 4:45.
But you're making friends with the night, Sean?
that's the question. Are you making friends with the night?
I have a complex relationship with the night. We've had some good times, we've had some bad times. I think we declared a kind of truce. But I do so love the Queen.
People would go to bed much earlier than we do, and then they'd wake up at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they'd smoke a pipe for a few hours in bed. You smoking a pipe?
I don't smoke my pipe. Well, I do. I can't vape too much.
So you sit in bed with a pipe? Lovely.
It's a good life. It's a good life, man. So Lou, what a day in the life of Lulu?
Well, let's just say. Right at the moment, I've been kicking the walls of the house. I'm telling it thanks for waiting.
Oh.
Because, Ellis, get your head out of your hand.
Sorry, I find that very funny, the idea of you kissing the walls and thanking your house for staying.
Because I wasn't supposed to get the house. John, you know this. I was told I could get a mortgage of £75,000.
We had quite a few chats about mortgages, didn't we?
Yeah, and I was told, Ellis, that I could get a mortgage to the tune of £75,000. And just hop and a skip and a bit of fraud later.
Yeah, it turns out all you have to do to avoid that is break the law. Which I did not advise, but found quite interesting.
I didn't actually break the law. It's some jiggery-pokery.
Cooking the books.
It's not even that, really. It's having a word with the books and asking if the military's got anything else to show us.
Okay. A different interpretation of books.
Yeah, interpret it into modern language.
Your mortgage broker has his fingers crossed a lot of the time.
Oh, well, it got refused the first time and he didn't tell me. We had a very complex relationship where he didn't answer me so many times I sent him the ghost emojis. Because he ghosted me. He just wouldn't get back to me, right? And I was getting so annoyed. It's very stressful trying to buy a flat. I mean, I'm very lucky that it did this through on the second time. But, because they asked stupid questions, it's not my fault. Anyway, and then my healer, Jim in the Pyrenees, said, I kept saying, this guy's not getting back to me. And she said, tapping to him. She said, yeah, he's a bit flighty like a bird, and he does this to everyone. Sorry, that's the door. She said, he does this to everyone. But he's not going to respond by you having a go at him or anything. Why don't you invite him to lunch? I said, I can't invite my mortgage broker to lunch. She said, it's the only way he'll get in touch. Okay, bear in mind that he hasn't been in touch for about 2 weeks, and there was forms that needed to go off, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. I texted him, nothing. Then I sent him a text saying, I need to take you out for lunch. He got back immediately. So, it's true.
How did lunch go?
Well, we didn't have to go to lunch, luckily, because he got back and said, you don't need to take me for lunch, I need to get your mortgage sorted. And I thought, damn, freaking straight you do.
Jill in the Pyrenees is earning her money.
Yeah, she is, actually. How do you think I got this whole place? Jill in the Pyrenees.
We should explain to listeners that Lou has a healer she contacts via Skype in the Pyrenees called Jill. I've heard about Jill in the Pyrenees so many times that I forget to laugh when you mention that, because it just is now quite normal for you to talk about your healer in the Pyrenees.
What does she do?
We have a WhatsApp call, and if I say to her, I've been, my ego got jealous of this thing, or, I'm a bit sad about this, and I know it's not, I know it's my ego, I know it's not real, and she says, okay, well, and she explains where it comes from, and then she helps me get rid of it, and each time I speak to her, I feel better, and each time I speak to her, I honestly think I modify my behaviour to not be such a
Oh, so it's a bit like essentially having a really good friend or a counsellor or a listener.
Do you know that? It's a good point, actually. We've all got friends who turn us into but they can often be exciting people and fun. The lash legends that your mum might like you hanging out with, but your mum's not there having fun at the time, is she?
Rollers of the sacred fire, may I presume. Wagons round the bikesheds.org.
Partakers of...
Oh, I suppose I'll get one in a minute.
Do you want to do one, Lou?
Naughty boys.
Yes, naughty boys that like smoking.
He wasn't really in the spirit of it. Wait there. Vagabonds. Maybe next time.
Thoughts about being someone else's remote healer / chatter, because you'd be very good at it.
Well, I do.
Would G and the P get annoyed if you started being Luli in the new build?
I wouldn't charge for this, anyone, but I would. Oh God, can you imagine? Well, I can't really talk about it, but Jill does think we all should, always be in. Oh, I can't. It's too real to talk about. It's too embarrassing.
Why is it embarrassing?
Because it's too sincere.
Oh.
I like to swerve anything too sincere.
Yeah, that's why I don't like Bruce Springsteen. Too earnest, too sincere.
You can think it, but you can't say it. Not in England.
Right, you need to clear up what that is.
What do you mean?
What do you mean that makes you sound like you're a member of Britain First?
No, I just mean we've got to adhere to the culture of the country. We don't like anything. If I hadn't had my brother, I would be so sincere, it would be so embarrassing. I used to cry at home and away and just and always want to talk about my emotions.
That's not a bad thing.
It's awful. That's awful. That's just something people talk to. I knew a couple once. This is what it reminds me of. I knew a couple. They would have every Wednesday. They would get together to have a meeting about how the relationship was going.
Oh my God! Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday there'd be highlights how they felt with each other. It's absolutely disgusting.
Why do you not like that, but yet you would, Skype someone every week to see how you're doing? Because that's okay, isn't it? I mean, having a weekly meeting is maybe a bit too formal, but whatever you've got to do to get through, right?
Yeah, but that's like someone else. That's like you and someone else that's formalising your relationship. So it takes any spontaneity or joy out of it. I can tell you, me and Teal sometimes have a bit of a bloody laugh. I don't want to surprise you. Yeah, she's not got a sense of humour.
So what are your plans, Lou? What are you doing to stay sane? What are your tips? What are your tricks?
I think you've got to be creative. So, everyone's sort of like, ooh, everyone's doing content. I think, yeah, good for them, in a way. Well, anything creative, it doesn't have to be public facing. Do remember that you can get your crayons out. Not everyone has to watch everyone. And I say that as part of the problem.
I've been colouring.
Have you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got a young kid and I saw there's a context to my colouring. But she likes to colour in with me and it's tremendously therapeutic.
Is it?
Yeah, and I've been in the banks now since about 1986.
Wow.
I could do it then, I could do it now. It's as impressive now as it ever was.
On the thing with colouring in the line, apparently you shouldn't tell children to get in the line because you're hampering their creativity and telling them to conform to the frigging man. Yeah?
Oh, I'd like it to
In it. Yeah. Oh, good luck. Why don't you just get her an abacus? She can be an accountant right now.
Yeah, she's got an advocate. I know she would make a good accountant.
I'd love her to be an accountant.
Is she a little square?
If only someone had given your mortgage broker an abacus, but maybe he wouldn't have gone outside of the lines. Yeah.
That's true.
So, Lou, you're quite a dating expert, aren't you?
It's one of my favourites.
So we've had an email that I thought I would save for when you came on the show to get what you reckon, okay?
Hang on, it's funny you say I'm a dating expert because that's going to be my new online show that I'm doing as part of Rupert Magenda's thing, but then I might try and do it every week, where I matchmake people. So I've got loads of people want me to matchmake them. Can you believe?
Online?
Yeah, so I'm doing that as part of a new show. Then they're going to go on a Zoom date, and I'm just going to pop in and tell them stuff when they're doing it. Like, do you want to ask that question again? That type of stuff.
Oh, so you'd be like not a presence jump in like a director's commentary.
Yeah, I basically want to be the news to the black.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's cute. And so I'm just taking that upon myself to get that going. And I love that you love dating presents as well, John, I know that. Yeah, we have dating rules.
Oh my god, yeah, the absolute best.
First date, anyone, Ellie? So full of heart and soul, and sometimes I want to go.
I don't like the ones where they're all in a big house getting on with each other.
It's so full of, that is so full of like, I want to be famous, but other ones are so like, they match them really well. It's really gorgeous.
So this is an email from Joe, and they say, I have two things I want to share with you. One is following the conversation your latest isolation tape about dating during the lockdown. I have a friend who broke up with her boyfriend earlier on this year, and they both agreed to carry on living together until the tenancy ran out in the summer. Cue the lockdown. Suddenly, the two of them were faced with being stuck in the house together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In order to avoid this situation, the ex-partner of my friend chose instead to move in with a girl he had been on 2 dates with, which felt like a really bold move. And this made me think, which situation would be worse? Being stuck with an ex in lockdown, or moving in with someone you've only met twice? All the best, stay safe, Joe. Great question. What do you reckon?
I think it goes for the new, because you know the old. Better to have new problems, expand and grow with the new, than the old, like, oh yeah, this again every day. It's like, move on. It could be the best experience of your life.
But is there a case that it's sort of better the devil you know?
No, that's what a man does.
How is it? Right.
I do think men are more, and this is a massive generalization, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this, but I do think men are more fit. One boyfriend I had kept buying the same trainers, 3 trainers in a row. I thought, well, at least he's faithful, because they just stick with what they know, I think.
But what if they're comfy?
Yeah, fine, but we should try a new trainer, they might be even more comfortable. I don't know, expand your horizon. I think moving with the new girl, that's so fun and exciting.
Also, if you split up, it's irreparably damaged, and then all of the tensions about the relationship are going to fester, especially in a lockdown situation. When you move in with somebody new, you're always on your best behaviour. Both partners on their best behaviour. It's an issue.
Yes, which brings in our old friend toileting.
Yes, it does bring in our old friend toileting, but I think in terms of social interaction, it increases the meals in the first 2 months.
I think the days would move quicker with a new person.
Oh, man, I want to leave the house.
No, it's so exciting and fun, and they'll be like banging all the time, like great, lovely, let them have it, let them have it, you know, let them enjoy themselves.
Here's another email from an anonymous listener on the subject, and they say, after Jess's tale of her friend's Zoom date woe, I'm beginning my own journey of potential romance in lockdown. I too have met someone on an online dating app. I, 20, am a student, home from uni during lockdown, and been fortunate enough to meet a lovely young lady on Tinder. I've since been speaking a lot on Snapchat, or as you two may call it, the devil's email. We've also begun a nightly tradition of a short FaceTime call that has gradually become longer. I'm pleased to say the other night we had one that lasted in excess of 3 hours, without either of us noticing, and both were still reluctant to say goodnight at the end. We have plans to meet after lockdown, but with that being an as yet unknown time, the cogs are in motion for a virtual date night. Smart casual attire shall be donned, and session alcohol consumed. I shall have to let you know how we get on. We may play made-up games. That's from Anonymous.
What a lovely way of hope.
New buds and shoots grow. What's the poem? The recent buds relax and grow. Oh, sorry, it's about grief. But you get the picture. It's a lovely poem called The Trees. Do check it out.
If you love grief.
If you love grief, well, it's sort of grief. It's how trees have a yearly grief, whereas ours is a more linear grief, because each year trees die and are reborn, and so there is a hope in the new buds, as if to say, begin afresh, afresh, afresh. That's how it ends.
I love that. I actually love that, yeah. Think about that as I love it.
Can I shock you?
Yeah.
I like poetry. Frank Skinner's got a new podcast about poetry.
Yeah.
Will Gompertz, who seems to be sort of a self-appointed expert in absolutely everything, reviewed it for the BBC website, and he basically gives everything 4 stars, because it would be kind of, you'd be hard pushed to really slam something someone's trying to make in these circumstances, wouldn't you? Just 4 stars, everything 4 stars.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lou. It's been a pleasure to have you as our first Isolation Tape guest.
Thank you for having me.
And is there anything you would like, any content you would like to plug?
My dating show when it comes out.
What's it called?
And Loving the Tone of Corona. And that'll be on, I don't know, will follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and no doubt I'll be plugging it. And then my podcast, which is open on Thank You, Cuddle Club.
Well, a virtual hug from us both, Lou, and best of luck with the new house.
Bye.
There you go, folks, the inimitable Lou Sanders there, and do check out her stuff. She's great value.
Okay, we'll be back with the show on Friday, as ever, and it usually gets released on Saturday. And we'll be back with another Isolation Tape very, very soon. So thank you very much for downloading. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
You, pal! We need your help!
From how to stay productive when working at home, humans are pretty amazing and can adapt quite a fascinating routine with tips on how to keep dedicated from a distance. You know what? Thanks Sizzleton and Dr. Rada are here to help with honest chat about the coronavirus outbreak and how we're all feeling right now. Radio 1's Life Hacks podcast. Listen on the BBC Sounds app. BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
BBC 5 Live.
Ellis James and John Robbins.
Hello everyone, you're listening to 5 Live. It's Ellis James and John Robbins here with you for the next hour and a half. I do hope wherever you're listening you are well. Ellis, hello to you, sir.
Hello to you, John. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, man. Looking forward to this show. We are going to be talking to friends and colleagues, Rob Beckett and Josh Whittaker later on, because they've got a new podcast about being a parent.
Yes.
It's an isolation parenting podcast they're doing about how people are getting through it. A bit annoyed to be asked, not to be asked myself, because as we know over the past weeks I've had quite a few theories about how to streamline the parenting process, but hopefully we'll talk to them about that later.
And also there is parenting in your life, parenting thoughts, parenting curries, parenting hangovers,
I'm current breakfast, mate. Well, left with curry.
Great. Did you warm it up?
No, the freezer's being defrosted, so I cut up a load of bread for the birds before realising that was the only bread, so then had to really start improvising.
Could have got the birds to regurgitate the bread into your mouth.
Well, I'm currently recovering from eating 6 veggie sausages, which were the last thing in the freezer, so I've never broadcast on 6 sausages before. I've also never experienced what it's like to eat 6 sausages. Not sure it's something I'm going to be repeating again, but good to tick it off the old bucket list.
Yeah, you texted me about defrosting the freezer quite late last night. You said, I'm defrosting the freezer, Al. It's gripping.
It is gripping stuff when it freezes.
All right.
I've defrosted freezers. I've also been in other houses where it's just happening, what's going on. Same with when you walk into the house, they might have Sky Sports names on it. You know, I've walked into defrosting freezer zones, but I've never described it as gripping. Please enlighten the listeners.
Well, when a freezer is defrosting, first off, you've got the initial thrill of having to eat everything in the freezer.
Yeah.
So you are improvising with your combinations.
Yeah. Your magnums and your those potato waffles.
Yeah, your magnum waffle axis, really.
Yeah.
Then you're sort of coming into, once the freezer is empty and you've wrapped the stuff you want to keep in sort of towels and with the ice packs and stuff, then you've just got to glory in the magic of ice. It's amazing. So I put all the ice in the fridge to protect the sausages. This morning, the ice was still completely intact.
Yeah.
It's actually quite hard to thaw ice.
Do you know what's great though? Obviously, it's not as easy to do in lockdown. You've got a big chunk of ice from the frosted freezer just to go outside and throw it against the wall. Have you ever done that?
No.
Oh,
but, okay, so I'll do this chronologically. It's been taking up an awful lot of my thoughts, which may, give you insight into how much I've got going on in the old thoughts right now. But then you come face to face with the task in hand, how much ice and frost is built upon the elements. Then you get a little pang of guilt about how much extra energy that's consumed over the intervening years or months that it's been like that. Then you start to tinker with how to speed up the process. Are you putting a pan of boiling water in the bottom drawer, closing the door to increase the ambient temperature of the freezer itself?
The super soaker full of warm water?
No, because that will just refreeze.
Yeah, but if you've got kids in the house, it's firing warm water, ice, something like that.
Well, it depends if your priority is entertainment or efficient freezer defrosting, Ellis. We've got different outlooks on this.
You fire the warm water in the ice and spring thaws, and then you get in there quick towel and dry it all off.
No. So, door closed, pan in, you get initial good defrosting from sort of some of the thinner shelves. But then you're looking at that big old iceberg at the top.
Yeah.
The mother lump. The mother lump's never going to be defrosted. And there's just a moment, probably about 6 hours in, when you start to hear the clang, the clunk of ice falling of its own accord from the elements. And then we get in there, and you're into wiggling.
Yeah.
And you're into wiggling and pressing, just teasing big chunks out and putting them in the sink. And then you've got hours left to marvel at how long ice stays as ice in the sink.
Yeah, have you ever considered chiseling?
No, that is against all instructions because you damage the elements. They would even probably warn you against wiggling and teasing the ice, but I think even head honchos at Bosch would allow you some fun in the process.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you've got yourself in about 12 to 24 hours, you've got yourself an ice-free freezer which you can clean.
Luckily,
yes, Dave.
because this is a pre-recorded show, I'll just chop that all down into a tight 20 seconds.
You better not chop that out, mate. I think the country as a whole, those who are locked down at home, will be getting to the thick end of the wedge when it comes to freezer defrosting, and I think it's relevant content.
That's right. This is a pre-recorded show, so please don't text in. However, if you'd like to email John about his freezer defrosting technique, do feel free to do so. You can email us on ellisjohn.
But Alice, that does now mean we are going to get upwards of 30 emails about defrosting freezers, so...
Oh yeah, that's literally what I want to read. I want people's experiences, people's anecdotes, people's hacks, tips, tricks,
and emotions.
And just that general vibe, really, about freezer defrosting.
Yeah.
I think the thing about this show, if you've not listened before, is the very thing that attracts some people, puts others off. So, if you're not into pretty deep dives on freezer defrosting technique, you're more than welcome to make that known, but there will be people who have enjoyed that, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah. If you've enjoyed it, go back a couple of weeks, you'll hear us talking about dishwasher technique, so we cover all of the appliances.
Some crazy theory that dishwashers somehow inherently sense how much grease is in them.
I've googled this since, by the way.
Yeah.
The article does say that the level of technology that dishwashers are at now, they can sense within a dishwasher how much dirt and grub and grease is on the dishes.
How?
What it doesn't say, which is what I said, was that you should still give your dishes a rigorous rinse before putting them in. They are now saying don't really rinse at all, just get rid of the big chunks. So I was half right.
You would know what you said, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe even that we talked about it in the first place, that we're now revisiting it.
Yeah, let's get back to the interesting topic of defrosting freezers.
the phrase you said, Dave, was that you need to leave the grease on because somehow the dishwasher itself feeds off that grease. That's not true.
No, I'll be honest, I couldn't find that article again. You've got to understand I'm working on very little sleep at the moment.
Yeah, but also we're all working on imaginary anecdotes and imaginary Googles and imaginary YouTube videos. Let's discuss John's imaginary YouTube video from a couple of weeks ago where he was convinced that there's a YouTube video out there of a dog giving another dog mouth to mouth after a car accident.
Well, I had confused. I think what happened is I had in my mind conflated two separate YouTube videos from cry compilations.
Right.
I'm not going to go into what a cry compilation is now. If you don't know, you'll never know. But Jeanette, who we both know, emailed me one of the videos I'd conflated it with. Someone else sent me the other one. So there are two videos, one of which is of a dog saving another dog who's been run over from the motorway.
Oh, okay.
And the other one is a monkey reviving another monkey at a train station in, I think, India, which is a quite long, drawn-out, harrowing affair.
How is it reviving?
It's sort of chucking it around a lot.
And not with traditional CPR.
No, he's not singing "Staying Alive" whilst doing CPR.
No, the monkey is sort of dipping the other monkey into water, then sort of holding it up, then and the monkey does recover. The dog does pull the other dog off the motorway, though I think it was a lost cause. Oh. And in my head, I think they had created a video where a dog is giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on another dog. However, at one point in the dog video, the dog does sort of get on the other dog with both its paws on, and it doesn't look like it's sort of pressing, though I don't think what's in the dog's mind is traditional CPR. I think it was just general stimulation, which to the untrained eye could look like a dog was giving another dog CPR.
But the monkey, it's a rough version of smelling salts then.
Yeah.
Dunking his friend in a bucket of cold water, throwing him about a bit.
Yeah, it's
the kind of way they used to treat concussion in rugby in the 80s.
And hysteria.
And hysteria, right,
yeah.
Okay. But it sounds like a good video.
It's a good video, man. So, Ellis, Dave, tell me about your sleep, mate, because you've still got twins. Still got the twins?
Still got the twins.
Yeah, still got them.
They're hanging around. They're not going anywhere. Sleep is broken.
Yeah.
As in, we have to wake up to feed our young 3-week-old babies. It's not an option. You have to. You're told to. You need. If they're not waking up, you wake them up. So we're not going to get a full night's sleep for probably another month.
What you can't do, well, I mean, my son is 15 months old and I haven't had a full... Let's not discuss it. But anyway, what you can't do with twins, unfortunately, is get a bottle and pipette in that way that hamsters have in their cages. It's got to be a far more hands-on affair, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Well, far be it from me to mention our old friend again.
Don't mention the clamp.
I'm seeing a world in which the clamp has a teat and a chamber for milk in it.
So to explain, John thinks that to hold your newborns in a certain position, you could just attach them to what he described as a clamp.
Yeah, so a lovely clamp, aka the hug, that's what it's going to be branded as. In the same way that you might put a chair upside down on a table when you're hoovering, you've just got a nice padded memory foam clamp attached to the wall or a table that you just clamp the baby in for, I'm going to say the advice is between 1 and 10 minutes.
We can speak to Josh and Rob about this.
We'll chat to Josh and Rob later about the old clamp. Ellis, what have you been up to?
Well, sleep-wise, I think I'm Robinsing it, and I've got to wake up at about 5:30 myself. But now, because I'm so tense knowing that he's going to wake me up before I want to be up, I'm now waking up before him and waiting. So I'm getting up on average at about 4:45 and just lying there for 45 minutes until he starts crying. Which, to be honest, I haven't really got that 45 minutes to waste when it comes to sleep.
Are you using it to why don't you just go downstairs and whack on YouTube and watch old Premier League years?
Because that will wake me up. I'm still, fingers crossed, lying there hoping I'm going to fall asleep.
Right. Do you know what I'm doing whilst we're now feeding our twins at 6:30 in the morning?
What?
I'm teaching myself new things. So last night I was looking up the 7 ancient wonders of the world. And it's a fascinating read. It really is. Some of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Wow! Yeah. So I'm going to do that from now on, I think. As I've got one bottle in one of the baby's mouths, I'm going to be on Wikipedia with the other hand and just genning up on some of the general knowledge that I should already know.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's what I did about our old friend the tree, Dave, because I've got really into trees this lockdown. I have to say, the smell of tree blossom, and it must be because there's less cars around and there's less sort of emissions or fumes or whatever. It's quite overwhelmingly beautiful. If you're
a lot of blossom knocking about.
A lot of blossom knocking about. If you're in a blossoming area, I would encourage you to get involved with that blossom. I'm really getting into blossom and birdsong, which you can probably hear in the background.
Do you know what? When this lockdown is over, do you know what you should do, John?
Go and live in a wood?
Yeah, but I think you should treat yourself to a holiday in the Lake District.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I've been to the Lake District before.
I think I would suit you.
Yeah, I do. I am a lake guy. I'm a green crags. I'm a sort of holidaying in the UK guy. I wonder if we might actually all be encouraged to holiday more in the UK.
Yeah.
That was mentioned in one of the press conferences recently. But I do, selfish alert, I do have a golf holiday booked in for October, which ideally I would like to go ahead. I mean, I don't think it's worthy me actually contacting my MP, but well, if there was any chance that restrictions were relaxed before mid to late October, that would really help me out.
Where's the holiday?
Portugal.
And could it take place at Centre Parks, for instance?
Don't know about the Centre Parks golf facilities. It could take place.
You could do it online.
You could do it online and not dance. I am missing golf. There, I said it. I'm not very good at it, but I'm missing it. And
I'm missing football.
Or playing it, or missing community football.
Playing, actually. I haven't really played for about a year or so. I played one game for lockdown. I thought, right, I've got to make time for this. I had such fun. And I probably every day I think to myself, I will never make a bad excuse for missing football, ever again. Because you've got to play whilst you still can as well. You know, there are plenty of old people with injuries who'd love to play, and I'm able to play. You know, when we're not in the midst of a pandemic, and I just miss being with a big group playing sport. It's just a lot of fun.
You're a crowd guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I have seen news reports that teams are starting to train again, Ellis. You've got quite a few fingers in a few football pies.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not beyond the realms of possibility that you could wangle a little job with Swansea's reserve team, reporting on their work, and therefore get to be given permission to go on those training exercises.
Yeah.
You've already got the tracksuit top.
Yeah, and then you know what would happen is I would, at the end, when they're all putting the cones away, I'd be doing kick-ups, and I'd be uncharacteristically good at kick-ups. The youth team manager would think, how old is he? And I'd say, I'm 17 next year. I just look awful. I look really, really bad in the hill.
And you show him footage of Crims as proof.
Yeah. He said, what, are you 40? And I said, no, I'm 17. I could play. And then I'll do another, and then the nets will be empty. I'll use my technique. I'll make myself look better than I actually am in reality, and who knows? In a year's time, I'm playing for Wales.
Do you know what I think a more pleasing fantasy would be to have?
Wings?
Is that you're... So in the same realms of possibility. So you're training with the Swansea reserves because you're doing a job for the BBC or for for FAW or something. Their manager gets sacked.
Yeah.
The Swansea manager, the main manager. Yeah. They've got a game that day.
Yeah.
Just as a complete wild card, they pick you as a caretaker manager for 12 hours.
Hello, Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help?
Talk is so fantastic.
Your beautiful new aircraft is waiting at our nearest airfield. We hope you're very happy, madam. Call again. Goodbye.
They open a bottle of wine and they offer to extend that contract for 4 weeks. I would want to live in that moment where you go, okay, I'm guaranteed 4 weeks training in Swansea as an interim caretaker manager.
Yeah.
It ends, unfortunately, with you bringing yourself on as a super sub, making a complete fool of yourself before tearing your hamstring. You were the last sub.
Yeah.
And they end up losing 10 men.
But what an anecdote. One of the great football anecdotes ever.
Coming up soon with Ellis James and John Boyd. John's playing well.
That's what my teenage boy, my family, I listened to my granddad's house portion of it. Pretty standard weekend away. She would always wait us as usual for the day with sweet questions. What music do I like? My favourite subject was comic stuff. My mum would presently about investigating to say history was okay. Her eyes lit up. She jumped at the opportunity to show me the military memory that her father, my great-grandfather, had taken whilst fighting World War I. All very cool. She then pointed to the significant old pine folks, now over the past few weeks we've been speaking to some very special unsung heroes doing their best to lift spirits and also to help others during this corona crisis. And we're about to speak to this week's.
Who invented the skip? Break up, man. 10 firemen. What's on the place? Who invented the skip?
So every week here on the Ellis James and John Robbins show, we talk to an unsung hero, someone who has played a part in something that perhaps they haven't had the recognition for. And we've updated it for the lockdown generation. And we're very pleased to say that today we're joined by Stu Beach. Hello, Stu.
Hi, good afternoon. How you doing? Thanks for having us on.
You're absolutely welcome. You seem to be in a lovely, lovely conservatory of paradise.
Yes, I'm just locking down with Mum and Dad up here in Oldham. How are you guys? You keeping well and safe?
Yeah, that conservatory, I hate if I'm on, so I love a conservatory. It looks like a great place to keep drinks when you're having a barbecue.
It's, well, we've got a little bar in the garage you can't see there.
Oh!
We'll probably use that instead, but yeah, for the overflow, certainly here. We've had some good summer parties here.
It looks like a great place to keep crisps doing barbecue.
Exactly that, yes. So crisps and canapes, but we'll certainly be having a big party when it's all over, I can tell you.
Stu, talk to me about the bar.
We store all the wine and the beers and the fridge in the garage. Yeah.
Has it got a name? Give it a name?
Beaches Bar.
Oh, lovely stuff. Well, we're not here to talk to you about your home bar setup, though I really would love to see it.
And use it, perhaps.
Yeah, we could do an 80-20 unsung hero bar setup. That's not a bad idea for a feature, Alice. We go live virtually into people's home bars. Dave, write it down.
Done it. Can I take the cookies?
Oh yeah. Dave, put in brackets award question mark next to the idea. Stu, what do you do for a living, and what have you been doing over the last couple of weeks?
Well, my main job is as an airline pilot with British Airways, but also on the side.
I've got more questions to ask you, Stu. I've never been able to have access to a pilot before. Let's do it 60-40, John. We'll do 60 unsung hero, 20 for bar, 20 as long as they're late. Does that keep you happy? I'll ask you some pilot questions later.
Okay.
But tell us what you've been doing in the past couple of weeks.
Yes, so obviously an airline pilot, but I also sing, so they call me the singing pilot, and it started off really doing a few live concerts in the garage, setting my equipment up and just doing a Facebook Live. People were donating to the NHS charities there, and then I just wanted to see if I could perhaps get out and about some way, and I spoke to a friend of mine who runs his Scotland, actually his charity, Team Hill, and he raises money for the community in Oldham, in advantage for elderly people. So I approached him with an idea: could we perhaps organise, under social distancing measures, a mini concert for different residential homes in Oldham? So that's one of the projects we've been taking part in. Tomorrow we're going around a couple of care homes in the rain. We've got a gazebo, so we should be alright. And more importantly, my nan, Brenda, you can give her a little call out, she'll be listening in.
Hello, Brenda.
Hello, Brenda. She used to bingo on a Wednesday and a Saturday. She's not been able to do that. So I thought, well, actually, we can bring the bingo to you. Buy some bingo tickets and use this bingo generation app on the iPad. So it was just me and her mum, my mum Susan, originally. And then people on the street inquired, and I thought about it. And yeah, as long as people socially distanced, it's been on the news where people have been partaking in activities on the street, then there's no reason. So we've got about 40 following on the street of people who take part in the bingo, and they donate some prizes. So it's a really good little hour that we do at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday and a Saturday.
Ah, how many times did you do that?
She's been annoyed the last couple of weeks. She hasn't won. I don't think so. But initially, I think she actually won the first game, so there was some elements of bias at the post. There wasn't, but it was all random cries and things.
So what sort of things are you seeing in care homes, and what has the response been like?
Usually kind of taking the guys down memory lane, so songs from the shows, the older shows, and particularly You'll Never Walk Alone, which has been sang by Captain Tom and Michael Moore, who's my idol, and I've been singing that one, and it's been really moved, and I've been emotional too. In care homes, they're not allowed to, they're enclosed within the surroundings, and I sing beyond the fence, so to speak, but they're also holding hands, and you see tears, and yeah, they've really enjoyed it. They've had limited visitors, or they're not allowed visitors, I think, and also, the NHS staff working, they've been under immense pressure just to, maintain some kind of normality. So for them, it's an escape, isn't it? And also a bit of community spirit and some unity for them. So that's the idea, is to use my time and lift the spirits of our community.
We've actually got a clip of you singing You'll Never Walk Alone, so I hope you don't mind if we put that on now. Something about that song gets the hairs on the neck standing to attention.
So you're standing outside the cable itself and singing? Yeah. Wow. Much further indoor, roaming up the patio, patio doors so they can hear the sound. But yeah, they're remaining inside, and I'm singing outside. Last week it was beautiful on Thursday, but tomorrow's forecast isn't so favourable. So it might just be a few umbrellas and a music short set.
What are your thoughts on Queen, Stu? Have you managed to get any Freddie Mercury into the set?
I'll leave that to Adam Lambert. It's beyond my vocal ability. I can get a top C, but it's more operatic.
Well, fun fact, the top C on the Rhapsody, where it goes for. That one, yeah, that's Roger Taylor, that's not Freddie Mercury.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There's a really great YouTube video of every single note Freddie Mercury has in his range if you've ever got 25 minutes to spare.
Perhaps we might be able to factor that into our day at some point.
Yes, he's a natural. Sorry, I'm gonna have to Google it. Although Mercury's speaking voice naturally fell in the baritone range, he delivered most of his songs in the tenor range. His known vocal range extended from a bass low F, F2, to soprano higher F6, but he could belt up to a tenor F5. Stu,
this is a wonderful two-way learning experience.
Yeah. What I love is it really does highlight John's inability to concentrate. His attention span.
Well, no, there's too much I want to speak to Stu about. Stu,
okay,
as a pilot...
Yes.
Hold on, we should just say, Stu, both things that you're doing there are absolutely fantastic, and it's great that you're keeping the morale and the spirits up of Oldham and the nation with your bingo and your singing to the residential homes. It's amazing. John, carry on.
Yeah, sorry, before I was so rudely interrupted by Dave, Stu.
Is that the producer?
Yes,
the producer.
Yes, Dave's the producer.
Do you always have to keep them in check, Dave?
They're getting better.
I'm very afraid of flying, and I wondered, have you ever had any close calls, and how regularly is there something awry?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually deliver BA's Flying with Confidence course at Manchester. So if you are genuinely frightened, we could get, once we start, the next course is 4th of July at Manchester. So perhaps we could invite you to come onto that course, and then you can see the good work that we do in practice. He's got a huge amount of time on his hands.
So the problem is, I don't have an irrational phobia, like I don't sort of have panic attacks on the plane or anything. It's just sort of a logical fear.
So it's not a psychological fear?
No, it really is. If something goes wrong, the plane will crash. And I think it's perhaps a lack of knowledge about how planes actually work that is my problem. But I was very reassured when I found out that actually you can glide a plane with no power for thousands of miles at times. How does that work?
It's a wing. If you look at a bird, you've seen a bird coming into land, they use their gliding mechanism. Same with a wing. If there's no power, you you've still got pressure, as long as the aircraft is pitched down, you've still got pressure on the window due to airflow. So you're going to arrest the rate of descent, but you're still going to descend. So usually from about 38,000 feet, you've got about 80 to 100 miles. It depends on the wind. If you've got a tailwind, even better.
So have you ever had a close shave on a plane?
I've been very fortunate, so no, I haven't.
That's amazing. That amazes
we do, like a car, we have certain minor faults that we deal with on board an aircraft. But the reliability, I should say, of an engine
Everything you love
first and
in one
foremost,
place.
the rate at which things happen.
Play around.
So very reliable machines that we fly.
Well, Stu, we have talked to you about your incredible work as a community. We've talked to you about Freddie Mercury's vocal range. We've talked to you about your experience as a pilot. I have to say, I could listen to you talk all day, and I think you're great.
Thank you, guys.
There's one final question. Would you like to be the third presenter on this show? Because I think, I can be saying anything for 5 minutes. John got so many questions.
Well, looking at Zoom, you need 4 people for the symmetry, don't you? So I think it would work.
Yeah.